Hello everyone, my name is Suchan and welcome to this little video tutorial on setting up a dynamic based on animation. So as you can see in the Maya viewport, I went ahead and created a book cover. I used the polycube, so with certain values on its attributes, and similarly we have a piece of paper being created using Maya's primitive polyplane. So just went ahead and set some values on its width and height attribute, and the subdivision width and height are currently set to a value of 10. So since we are using the power of Maya's nCloth, I'm gonna just select a piece of paper and go to nMesh and create an nCloth object. So once that has been done, if you hit play, if I just increase the time slider a little more, and if I hit play, you will see that the piece of paper is actually falling and it is under the influence of gravity, and we need to tell Maya that it needs to actually collide with the piece of the cover, the book cover. So what we need to do is just select the piece, the book cover, and then go to nMesh and create a passive collider. So once we have done that, hopefully we will have the piece of paper actually being collided. So it's currently working. Great. So once that has been done, what we can do is set some attribute on these nCloth attributes. So go to the outliner, I'm going to select the nCloth and set some values. So what I need to do is I need the self collision flag to be full surface. Okay, set it to full surface. Then the thickness, okay, the piece of paper, the collision thickness should be reduced because it is very thin, the piece of paper. So set it to 0.005, and then as far as the friction goes, I need to increase it, so set it to 0.8. Similarly, I need some increase in resistance. It is no longer a cloth, it is a paper, so it will have a little bit more resistance to bending and compression. So set those values, and then I want to decrease the mass, and then I want to increase the drag as well. So very little drag. Okay, let's say 0.05, and then I want the damp to be 0.1. Set the damp as well, and that's pretty much it with the nCloth shape attributes. And then the next thing we are going to set attributes are on the nucleus. So we will need the nucleus solver to be having substeps a value of 20, so that more iteration is being done to calculate the simulation. I want the collision iteration to be increased as well, so that the collision between the book cover, the self collision, and everything is being iterated even more. And that's pretty much it. So basically what we need to do now is that set the we need to weld the piece of paper on top of this geometry, the book. So to do that, we can use the power of Maya's constraints. So let me just quickly hide the book, and I can just select the piece of paper and select its vertex. So I'm going to select the vertex on these sides, just select these vertex, okay, and then I'm gonna shift select the cube, that means the book cover, and then I'm going to use a n constraint point to surface. Okay, so once that has been done, what happens is it is actually being constrained to this book, like welded. So you can see it in action, like if you hit the interactive playback on. So what happens is if you move it, so that this piece of paper is actually being welded to that geometry. So that is how the n constraints actually work. So once that has been done, we just need to create some transform controllers so that we can, the animators have the freedom to just select that controller and move it to turn the pages. So similarly, what we have done, we can use the power of Maya's n constraints. So once again, I'm going to select the faces, okay, and let me just hide the book cover so it's much more easier. I'm going to select the vertex, so I'm going to select these two vertex, and I will create a n constraint transform. Okay, similarly, I'm going to select the bottom vertex. I'm going to create a transform constraint on it as well. So what happens now is the animators, when animating this book page, I can just select these transform controllers and hopefully have a good simulation going on. So if I hit play, what happens is if I just move it up, see that you already have this nice simulation going on. So if I just select that, and this will now simulate a piece of paper, so I can just have all the transform controllers that I'm liking, so like stuff like that. So now what we can do is, since right now we have both of these transform controllers actually have a strength value of 1 and 1 on this piece of paper, right now both of them has equal influence. So while animating, you can just select the dynamic constraint, go to its channel box, and maybe set the strength. Right now it's set to a value of 20. So let's say what happens if I put the value to 0. Okay, so what happens is it's like it's no longer constraining or having any effect on that vertex. So if I select the dynamic constraint tree, set it to value of 1, and if I move it, if I rotate it, or if I, let's say, hit the interactive playback on, and you can now have a piece of paper actually being, you can simulate the page down. So right now it's quite slow because it's being calculated, and you can already see that you have the influence over the piece of paper by just moving that transform controllers. So by using the power of Maya's encloth, you can already easily and efficiently create a quite realistic looking you know piece of paper simulation over the book. And the good thing is that you still have the book cover that can be simulated as well. You can rotate it, you can move it as well, and it's quite welded to the book. And that's pretty much it. Well, that's quite the logic. And while animating, the animators can just go on animate on the transform nodes, the dynamic constraints strength value. They can just key on it, and they can set how much strength they want and just work on it. So by meaning of that, I mean to say, like, if I just went ahead and set this strength to 0, and now this time I'm going to select the constraint on the other side, the dynamic constraint on the other side, and if I try to move it, this dynamic constraint now no longer has any influence on it. So if I try to move it, okay, let's say I set the value to a 1, then it already pops up, and you can just turn the page like that. So that's pretty cool. Well, so that's it. So I hope you enjoyed the little tutorial, and thank you for watching.